Lux. Okay, there you go.
I read something interesting. Salmon meat is not typically white, but because
you've been on Reddit today.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I feel I knew this.
Farmers add
so
preservatives to make it more visually appealing. I was about a 5th post down on front page.
Can you believe those filthy redditors, Ellie?
What am I
Before
believing?
she's... Okay.
I'm sorry.
Asher was like, that's the trivia I want to let you know. And Ellie was like, yeah, fuck that. Fuck the Reddit knowledge.
I was listening, I swear. It's just that the stream auto started, so I
sure
paused because I was getting overloaded with 2 conversations at once. I swear to God. I'm sorry.
Hey,
Great start, by the way. Great start.
Oh, did Ashen do that thing where she goes live
mid-convo.
Say it.
Yeah. Did the thing. Hey, Tweet TV. Hey, it's Zachary. Welcome to the stream.
Hey, top of the hour,
Dory.
boys. All right.
Yeah. Hey, Lucian.
It's
Hey,
that
Rorik.
Blink-182 situation again.
Oh my god. That's my favorite band. Fucking hell, dude. Hey, Abyssal. I was about to say hey, Ellie.
Yes. What up?
Well,
I
hey,
mean,
what's up, Ellie?
We probably do need to say it at some point.
Yeah. I guess we can start right off, actually, if you guys want to.
Yeah, let's get this train going. Ellie, tell us all about yourself. Start from the
God.
beginning.
That's
jeez,
so
okay,
good.
not that fast. Holy shit. How about... Okay, so for everyone who doesn't know what today's topic is, even though it says, I don't know if it's my browser, but it says build day with Sint. Today we are interviewing someone very special from our beautiful FD community. And how about you introduce yourself in that case, actually, already, because we all know and love you, so give us all that information about you.
I feel like this question wasn't on the list, so now I feel unprepared.
Oh my gosh! Don't tell people that there's a list.
Oh God, whoops. Well,
The
hi, I'm Ellie. So I've been playing Final Fantasy pretty much since Shadowbringers. We started playing, I say we, my group of WoW refugee friends and I played for a really short period of time, about a year before Shadowbringers. But we were raiding full-time in WoW, so we didn't really want to commit full-time to both games. Sadly, WoW got kind of stale for us, so we made a full swap, and it was kind of an easy transition for me. One, because I think Final Fantasy is kind of visually really appealing, and second, the housing scene is something that WoW has always lacked for me, so that was kind of a big draw card for me. But yeah, I raid a little, I house a little, and I AFK in-game a lot, I would say.
We can all
yeah.
agree with the FK part, honestly.
Ellie, would you say if they introduced housing into WoW, would you go back? Because I think I would.
I think I would be really tempted to see what it's like. We talk about the graphics a lot, between my friends and I, and WoW is just really kind of cartoony to me. So I'd be kind of interested to see how it would look. But it was the first kind of MMO that I was really super hardcore into, so I think it always kind of has that nostalgia feel to me. So I don't know if it would pull me back completely, but I would definitely be tempted to see how that works in the game. If it's like the what was that they had
Garrison.
Yes, the Garrison.
Yeah.
Look, not a fan. So if it
Massive fan.
if it was
me
like
millions
that,
of gold.
yeah,
Oh
it
my
wasn't
God.
my jam. So if it was like that, probably not. But yeah.
I think it'd be
So
really
top-
funny if they allowed really cool furniture, but it's on a raid drop once a week.
I
Yeah,
did
that'd be
see,
neat.
What do
I
you mean?
did
That's-
see someone scripting,
that's
not
Mythic
scripting.
Plus only.
They're changing
So-
Mythic Plus.
I know. That's where the furniture's coming from.
Oh my god, we solved
Oh
it,
my
guys.
That's it. I mean, I'll just
Disgusting.
say, if they bring in, housing and it's the same kind of graphic style as the most recent expansions, I'm in.
I'm gonna
if you-
start
if you-
World of Warcraft browsing. If
If
that's
you
gonna
guys
be the case,
haven't
not
actually
even
looked
kidding.
at BFA's graphics is beautiful. It's insane. Compared to vanilla, it's night and day.
Yeah, but I guess vanilla was Minecraft-esque.
Yeah, but vanilla against RuneScape, it was like, yes,
True.
this is it. This is peak gaming.
I'll take it anytime. But wasn't there someone like, it wasn't even on FD, someone saying something like, oh, I'm modding WoW, and I have
I
like a
saw
private
that.
server where I do, they
Yeah.
made the house like a living room or something with like models
Yeah,
from
I
WoW.
did see that. It was pretty neat. So I think if WoW looked like that, I'd probably play around with it a little bit, but I don't know. I'm really into Final Fantasy. I think even if we stopped raiding completely, and for anyone in my FC that's listening, that wasn't like a hint that we are stopping, but if that was the case, I think I would still continue to play Final Fantasy purely based on the housing side alone.
Yeah, there's many people who would agree with you here, especially since raiding isn't even like a main thing for the majority of the community, if you think about it, especially the housing community, since raiders don't do housing. That's just it.
I think that's part of the other reason why this game really appeals to me, is that there's so many ways that people play it. So you're not kind of pigeonholed into one, like a combat side of things, which I feel like WoW was really heavy into. So
Yeah, everything in Final Fantasy is a part-time job, basically. So you can actually spread yourself around all of it as well.
yeah,
Very true. I know many people who are like doing a bit of everything, and they just they just have they enjoy the game so much out of it because they just do everything the game has to offer, even Blue Mage content. Cough.
Alright, so that was your start. Now, I'm always interested, what was your first house? Do you remember? Like, when did you start? What compelled you to start to do housing?
When we played that really short period of time right before Shadowbringers, one of my now FC mates was with a different FC, and he showed us that housing existed in this game. And I remember being so confused by it at first. Like, he took me into a ward. I couldn't tell you what ward it was, but I remember thinking, oh god, everything looks so different and mismatched, and like all the houses were different, but it was really cool and intriguing to me. And so now it's kind of funny when you walk around and, you know, people who have been doing housing for a while kind of say, oh, that's interesting. I know that. And so my very first apartment actually that I did, I had no visual references. I had no idea how mechanics of this game worked as far as housing.
Housing mechanics.
Yeah.
The housing mechanics.
I mean, look,
Frogging housing, dude.
it's so true. It's so true. Like, I have a photo. I don't know if you guys want to see it.
Yes, we
But-
do.
Let me pull it up really quick because it is. I haven't been allowed to like destroy it. Like, I want to rip it down, but I have been told that's not allowed. It's like a time capsule.
Wow.
So I remember building and doing like this side table, and it was literally a stool, and I was so sad that I couldn't get this lantern on a stool, so I just put it on the floor next to the stool.
Oh my god, I see what you mean here.
Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't say it's bad, you know, like everyone starts somewhere, but it's just really kind of funny for me to look back at it and think, I've kind of come like a long way. I had no idea about lofting and floating. I didn't even know what items were in the game. I don't think this is even like the 100 slot limit, but
Yeah. It's very interesting to see how far you can come, actually. That's a very interesting picture to compare it to, because it feels like this could be like a base thing for everyone. Like, this is how everyone's
yeah,
started
I think so. And so it was just like, I went in, we saved up whatever the gil was, like 300k or something, which felt like an insane amount of money for us at the time. And we got an apartment, and I started going to town on it, and that was my end result, which I was really chuffed about at the time. I was so proud of myself, but
It's always like that, but like, as long as you do the best you can do to your current abilities, it's always gonna look good. But once you look back on it, it's gonna look terrible.
yeah, I walk in every now and then, I'm like, "Ah, man, what was I doing?" But
Aww.
there it is.
Oh girl, what was you doing?
Did you craft these items, or what do you do?
No, and I would have to say that's fairly true of me even to this day. I am a very lazy builder, and I know a lot of people are going to cringe because I probably overspend, but if something's cheap, I will buy it. I don't waste time crafting, but
Yeah.
I've been trying to be, I know. I've been trying to be more conscious about crafting things now. I recruit Naya or Zach
You
to craft
recruit
for
them
me
to
for the
craft
most
for
part.
you?
Because mine, I do, because I haven't even bothered to level mine. I think I have a weaver at max and that's it. So
Are you paying them at least?
hell
Your
no, hell no.
Oh my God. Wow.
They're my friends.
Wow.
That's called mates rates.
Mates
What?
race.
A main street?
Yeah, it's like a heavy discount because we're friends. Like, no.
Oh my God.
No,
I do feel you on the I just buy it off a market board, but I don't think about fucking prices. I just buy it no matter how much it costs because
That's, yeah.
it's like. But I recently also noticed how just crafting it yourself is just so much easier. So what I've been also doing is like I just gathered the shit, but I couldn't craft it, so I just gave the mats to someone. So I was assuming that might be something to start. Like if you want to get into housing more and more, you just get the mats first, and that you
Yeah,
can start
for
leveling
sure.
your crafters, especially carpenter, since you can do so much with them.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't recommend anyone doing it my way, but that's my laziness, I suppose.
So if you have a friend who wants to be enslaved, you guys know what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright, so
Alright.
that is.
Is it daytime? I can't tell. I don't think so.
Nope.
No, almost 4 a.m.
It's like yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna try to take advantage of the day because Ellie does beautiful work with windows and a little bit of shadows. I noticed when I was touring.
I like shadows.
Yeah. There's some specific build that I like, a smaller one, but it's like I think the first build of yours I've seen. We're gonna look at today too, if I remember correctly. And that had like amazing, like even during the nighttime it looked absolutely amazing, but like during the daytime it's like chef kiss. It's like the best thing ever. It's very interesting.
That might be the one Tall Girlfriend went to. I don't know if that's on today's list, but we'll see. Was that the steampunky one? I don't know if I put it down today.
Yeah, the one like the engineer apartment.
Yeah,
almost,
yeah. I don't have it. Is in this ward. It is in this ward, but I don't have it on the list.
Look at it.
Yeah, we could.
Look at it too.
We can swerve.
It's really good. I wouldn't like to that people would miss it, because if it's something very nice, I'd like for people to actually see the good content people come up with. In my opinion, at least. All right, let's see. So
We got a little bit of time, but I did want to tack on to her getting involved with housing. And how did you get involved with the housing community then?
I think that was kind of by chance, honestly. When we came back to the game in Shadowbringers, I really wanted to get a house. And our very first house, we found an empty plot. I should say the very first house we were trying to get was an empty plot in Lavender Beds. And I remember we all shared our guild, so we all had enough guild to buy it for the FCC, and we all sat there spamming, and it was like 17 people there. It felt like 17,000, and we lost after like 12 hours. we did not get the house, and there was probably like 6 or 7 of us there trying to get it. So the odds were in our favor, but we still lost. And so we looked into alternative methods of getting an FC, and we found out that, you know, some people transfer ownership and you can kind of buy FCs rather. And so I think through my search that way is how I found the buy sell channel for FD, Fashion Discord. And I remember it taking me probably a good few weeks until I realized there was actually like a whole other section where people showcased their builds. Like I didn't realize it was there, and I very distinctly remember being completely blown away that that's what people can do. So that's kind of what spurred me on to try and change from my apartment style building into something a little more evolved.
So when you got involved in Sava's houses, were you around what time was that roughly? Like, was it like a year ago or months ago?
Yeah, it was really shortly after Shadowbringers launch. So I think I've probably only been at this for a little over a year.
Wow.
Like, that's something I want to ask, like, everyone who like starts around Shadowbringers, for example, with housing. Like, did you feel overwhelmed by like the designs that people came up with already, or like were they more of a were you overwhelmed but inspired in some form too? Like, were you rebuilding something, because as we noticed in the past few interviews, that people learn by rebuilding stuff and like doing what they saw other people do that they liked.
Yeah, I think Arc Rise build, she did like this Hingen tea house thing, and that was one of my first builds that I saw that I was like, oh, I would really love to do something like that. And funnily enough, after I built that one, it was also the last build of that style I did. It was like a it was like a one and only, but I think that was kind of practicing sort of the same techniques I felt like she used, kind of got me like a good foundation, I guess. I remember seeing some other builds of some people that were fairly prominent in the community, and it just felt so overwhelming. Like I had no idea what, like, you know, the smallest details. Fang was another one that I used to see, and I thought he has such crazy intricacies in his builds. But I couldn't pick out what items were. I didn't know what things were. So it took like a lot of just reading and going through that website, like what is it, the FF14 housing.
Oh yeah, the one that shows all of the items. Yeah.
Is just going through all of them, because I didn't even know a lot of things existed, and it was before the preview was in the game. So it felt a little daunting, and I think that's also what led me to just start buying things off of the market board, because I also didn't know where things came from. And coming from WoW that had a website like Wowhead that I felt was really comprehensive in how to get things and how to, like, not even just where they came from, but how to obtain them, Final Fantasy for me lacks a little bit of that. And so it was a huge learning curve, I guess. I just kept finding things that I didn't know existed. So I don't know that my builds were very diverse when I first started. You know, it kind of was a lot of vendor items and stuff like that.
That's very interesting, because just thinking back, it was very similar for other people we interviewed too, and many people we talked to privately. They're all just like, yeah, I just kind of started with NPC items because I just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, it's
like where to get things from. Really.
The list is huge, really. I mean, it's huge, and there's so many. Everything kind of has lockouts and quest chains to get into different places, and I was such a new player that I hadn't done a lot of that old content. So I was like, you know, man, this could take me a year to get to some of this stuff. So I just started buying.
I'm glad you didn't get discouraged. Because honestly, yeah, I've been in it for so long, but for somebody new, you know, a year ago, that is pretty steep.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
All right, dibs here.
Yeah,
I want to.
Real subtle.
Yeah. And now it's daytime.
Now it's daytime, so let's go inside. This is your house, right, Ellie?
Yeah, this one's my personal. So this was the first medium I'd done. And we got this when the new wards opened up. At this point, I only had a small house in one of the older wards.
I love this window.
Yeah, this one was really good. I remember seeing it. Oh, it's just an amazing layout already. Like, once you go in already, it's super. I just love custom shapes and mids, because just you know where things are, but sometimes you just see completely new things.
Yeah, this was like one of my. Well, I did kind of like a one floor build in that steampunky one. Was the first time I'd done one floor. So this, I guess, was the second time I'd attempted it, and I was really excited that I could have like a more expanded layout, I guess you would say, where I could have like whole rooms rather than just kind of like an open space with different levels.
It's very hard to work with small houses. That's true.
I love them for their item limit. I feel like you can pack a lot of detail into one small floor, but you're definitely restricted with layout options for sure.
All right.
Especially with a bigger character.
So when you made this house, what was your, I guess, inspiration? Since you said also you looked at picture references, did you do that for this house?
Yeah, so where I get a lot of my inspiration from is one of my favorite things to do is actually, like, as I'm going to sleep or whatever, I browse Pinterest on my phone.
Same.
I save things to like these like folders, and it's called like my someday house, which is just like all of these all of these photos that I would really love to one day be able to attempt, like in my real home. So some of this stuff like includes like really bold wallpapers and stuff, which I'm sometimes a little too afraid to want to do in like a real house. But it was kind of the wallpaper thing that spurred this on, and the whole tropical motif. So it did start out as kind of like this tropical wallpapery home, but I feel like it turned out to be more of like a Florida Keys retirement home, which my FC will probably say that suits me. They call me old pretty often.
Oh my
Aww.
I think
So,
it's a good reason. Like, I think a good reason for that is just the color pattern that you chose to use in this one
Yeah.
specifically, because it's like this very 60s plastic kind of teal.
right. It really is.
It really feels like that, and especially with wallpaper upstairs, like it's the same color pattern that you use for the
Yeah.
rectangle partitions downstairs.
Yeah.
But it just really feels like it. Especially the reason for that is you used the dark blue a lot. So what was like what was the reason for that? Because that's a very strong contrast compared to everything else in this house.
It was kind of intentional. Like I had 4 colors planned for this. I wanted to do like a really kind of punchy hot pink kind of corally color too. But I felt like with the stuff that I had that was dyeable, excuse me, and you know how things tend to dye a little differently. Sometimes they're not quite as vibrant. The pink was just not really working for me, and I felt like it was looking too patchworky. So I cut the pink. But I didn't want it to look too pastel-y with just kind of like the soft yellow and the soft teal. So the blue I thought was kind of to punch it up a little bit, but yeah, that's just kind of how it stuck, I guess. It was just me playing with color. I think color is something I really like to play around with, again, because it's not something I would typically do in my everyday home, but the colors in Final Fantasy are hard, man. Like
They are.
They're either like so watered down or they're just like overly saturated. So that's probably my biggest struggle when it comes to builds is getting colors right, I would say.
I do agree with that a lot. I tend to use items that just dye similarly or something
sure.
like similar wood patterns or something, but when you are left with a lot of rectangle partitions specifically, or furniture that you want to look as if it was a different material, it just gets very, very hard. Like it becomes something that you're like, you know what, I like this color, but like a bit less saturation, for example. So it would be much nicer to have more options. But they've recently added some stuff, so hopefully.
Yeah, I think they're going in a good direction for that, and I would imagine that more would come. I would hope. You know, ideal world, there'd be a slider, right? But I think everyone wants sliders for everything, so that's probably unrealistic. But...
God, I remember back then in the jump from Sims 3 to Sims 4, where you had like this the color wheel going to like a set color pattern. That was like the worst thing for me personally, and if we would get something like that in Final Fantasy, I would just like change so much for everyone, I think, because using color patterns is just going to be so much more original compared to what we had before.
Yeah.
So let's see. I'm trying to look for this one thing I saw.
The cursed spot on the wall that's here and just won't go away.
Cursed spot.
Do you not see it? It's been there since I built the house.
I don't see a cursed spot.
Oh,
I don't.
God.
No, I'm sorry.
I see it.
It stares at me every time I zone in.
Is it on stream? I don't see it.
No, it's not on your screen,
No,
but I
it's
can see it
not.
clear as day.
Is it like a black dot again?
No, it's like bright white. It's like the roommate that doesn't pay rent. It just is always there.
Lives rent free in your house.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a moment of trivia. You guys know what cursed spots are, right?
I was thinking about the stage panel black spot.
Yeah, no, it's that spot of light you can't avoid.
Because
that's what you mean.
You can avoid it, and it involves loft.
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, Div. I thought that's what you were gonna point at.
I didn't know, actually. I was thinking about the heat plates in the kitchen because he used the soup pot for it, and I was like, yo, that's really cool. But I guess I kind of walked into that direction because I just walk while talking a lot. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to tell you
that's my fault. That's my fault. I gave
was
myself
good.
up.
But I really like that design, the way you use your marble partitions in this case, because it's like not any normal use for partitions. You just floated lots of stuff from below to make a very nice wall trim with the wood on the walls instead of using marble, and using the marble itself for the kitchen, which is really, really good.
Yeah.
I
Very
would say
clean.
that this kitchen sink area was probably largely inspired by one of Ashen's builds, and I don't remember which one that you did it in, but the kitchen sink setup was definitely a yoink.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it definitely paid off because it's amazing.
I really
And
wanted to
variety
have an
structure.
island at first. I really wanted like some sort of island space coming out this way, but it just got a little too cramped for the size of the room, so
Yeah.
we cut it off
Very
in like
true,
L
yeah.
shape.
But the layout is already really amazing. Walking into the open kitchen like that is
Oh,
really
thank
cool.
you.
Yeah, there's always something to look at, and I like that in a house where you can just spin your camera and you can always see something.
Yeah, I try not to avoid too many. I don't want to say like blank walls, but at the same time, I also try not to just slap something on every single wall because I think that is also maybe a little unrealistic. And I think generally my style is to have things probably as true to reality as possible. I don't really do too many like fantasy type builds. It tends to be like typical home kind of stuff.
Oh, thank you for the raid, Lumen.
Yo, thank you, Lumen. Thank you so much. But I do agree with you that I see a lot of people who it's either you build in a fantasy kind of style or you build in the modern kind of style, whereas
Totally.
modern is referring to the modern day, like realistic style,
Right.
compared to that. But is it something you'd like to explore in the future? Actually, is it something you'd be interested in trying? Because since if you've never done it before,
Yeah. I think so. I had it's a build that we'll get to a little bit later today, but it was kind of way out of my wheelhouse, and it was probably my favorite one I've done yet. And I think that is because it was atypical of what I usually do. So I think it really kind of pushed me to think differently and try something new. And so that was one of the reasons I really love it. So
Ooh.
I kind of like doing that sort of thing, but this is my comfort zone, I guess you would say.
Your comfort
Yeah.
zone.
Yeah.
So you would say that this is your aesthetic. Your aesthetic's kind of like a bit of a shabby chic, kind of a cozy, comfy living house.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I guess this is. Yeah, I never really thought of myself as like a shabby chic designer at all. But I guess like if we compare it to probably the next one we're going to, which I think gets even more in that wheelhouse, then probably. I think it's just something that I would typically live in myself. Nothing too fancy. I'm not a fancy kind of girl. I don't like anything that's overly stuffy and uptight in my real life. So that's how I tend to build as well, I think. Nothing too pretentious.
I like that.
Pretentious. That's a way to formulate that, actually.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right, well, let's move on to the next one. This next one's Lavender Beds. Let's see. Lavender Beds, 1913. Is the owner here? Maybe I can teleport.
I'm not sure if this one is 13. I think it's Naya's. So Naya should be lurking around in the house somewhere. Naya
words-
Lovecraft.
Word 19 plot 13.
They're up
Yeah,
here if you
so-
want to get a friend request.
I want to put it in chat. That's why.
Thank you. Gosh, the load times on these, I don't like.
Oh, on the friends list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we need to draw WoW comparisons? Because
We don't need to talk about response times between Final Fantasy and WoW.
Let's see where we go.
All right,
Okay,
so this
cool,
next
cool.
house, you said this one's the shabby chic. Is this the really pretty one with the?
This is the dark flower.
Yes.
wall
Oh, I
one,
love
yeah.
this one.
Oh yeah, I saw that one recently too, because I was looking into some inspiration for wall deco, and I think if this is the one I'm thinking about, that was fucking amazing. I love that a lot.
Ooh, what a
So
pretty
let's-
yard. You know, Ellie, hi Key. I love all your yards.
Wow, yo, that arch using the exterior wall, that is big brain. That is super.
Oh,
fucking
thank
cool.
you. That was purely like, oh look, there's big chunky weird things on the front of the house. Let me shove an arch over the top of it. So
Yo.
I wanted to see it would fit, and it did. So it kind of stuck. But
That is-
yards are my jam. I love yards. I think it's because it's kind of, little to zero glitching at all.
Yes.
And it's just fun. Like, so, I don't want to say that glitching is not fun, but it's
time
sometimes it gets a little
consuming.
tedious.
It's very
Right.
time consuming.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is kind of just me chilling out, just moving things around. You don't have to be too precise. You can just kind of adjust things a little bit, and I think I just really enjoy them for that reason.
And what
But
I
give
enjoy
me more
for sure,
slots,
though.
please. More slots.
And everyone wants that, and we've
Oh,
been promised
sure they
that, but
do.
we'll never get them.
Yeah.
So
But this one
when
is
you
the one
walk
stuck with
in,
you.
I love it. I love a feature wall. When you walk in, it's just bam. You don't really need a lot of anything else in the house.
And it
This is-
frames around perfectly already. It's so good.
And the inspo for this came really from the same place as the last one. When I was looking at a lot of like crazy wallpaper stuff, there was this whole dark floral wallpaper rabbit hole that I went down. And so I started saving them. I have like my own little Discord that I just save a lot of photos to, whether it's screenshots or whatever.
Same.
And so I knew I wanted to do this at some point. I just didn't know where. And then Naya was really awesome with saying that I had free reign on his houses. So that's where I went with it. And it started out a little different. At first, I tried to kind of mimic the pattern of the wallpaper kind of exactly. And it was just looking kind of not really organic and too perfect. Like I was trying too hard. So I scrapped it, ripped it all down, and started just building from the corner up. And that's kind of how it ended up.
The flow is very, very natural. Like, it's really good how it goes from the corner of a room to it just stops in the middle of a seat too, so it doesn't feel like it's too forced, like you said, or
Right.
like it has a very, very unlinear gradient, and that's like the beautiful thing about it. And it's not like it's just a straight line.
Yeah.
It's just like you have a few flowers poking out. Sometimes it has the bumps here and there, and that is very, very good about it. It feels very natural, like you said, instead of the forced and trying too hard look that you mentioned before.
Yeah. It's those like positions of those flower blooms as well, like more towards the edge, so you get that kind of like denseness right in the corner, comes out like more sparse towards it, so it kind of fades out a little bit.
Mhm.
Exactly, because you don't want a space when it fades out to be like full of flowers. So like, let's say you
Yeah.
would just use the back of the like the entire width of that couch as like where it would be all dense and stuff like that. It looks much better like this because everything is focused in that one corner. That is very, very good.
I love this desk. Look at that.
That is
desk?
very, very good.
The
It's
Yeah.
very
desk was kind of like a mini version of the bathroom counter sink that I did in the last place.
that
Um,
popped off on Twitter. That was one of the
Right?
posts that
I was kind
yeah,
of shocked by that because I was like, listen, guys, this is not that wild.
because
but-
it's very practical and like it's very easy to replicate and very practical.
Vendor items. Yeah, exactly. Too. So
So people love
Um,
that kind of stuff.
this wall though kind of made me laugh because I remember last week in your stream you were saying, Ashen, that when you were building early on, if you felt a wall was too blank, you would just slap some windows on it, and that is actually literally what I did in this corner. I was
Yeah.
like, this wall, this wall. I was like, I feel like it needs some height. Like it needs height to balance it out on the other side. So I actually just threw a window at it. And
It
now
works
that I
though.
spin around this house, I'm like, there's a window on literally every wall.
Yeah,
is-
you know.
No, it's honestly, yeah, honestly, yeah. On almost every one of them except the mirror there.
I'm very self-conscious about windows. I'm constantly trying to limit myself on them.
Yeah.
Sometimes is there something you would so as you said, you added the windows on later. But something I've meant to ask is, do you consider how it looks from the exterior when you build or something like that?
I
Is that something-
actually don't. The only consideration I kind of take is that I want the outside to be in a similar style to the inside. I want the theme to be consistent. But as far as like placements of windows, I mean, I actually haven't done a build where I've flipped the front door yet. You know, my front doors in all my builds have been where the front door is, even though they're custom doors. But as far as window placement, I haven't. And it's something that I've kind of started to think about, especially because of like sun rays and things. You know, sometimes builds look a little flat without them, which isn't bad. You know, sometimes it is what it is. It's just how the design works out, and it's either a compromise on design or a compromise on rays. So I sometimes make that choice, but it's only been something I've been thinking about more recently. It definitely wasn't in this build.
Because when I said that, I meant as like, since if you think about it as a building from the outside, right, and the levels of the windows, that is what I was mainly referring to in that case. Or for example, as like you have a raised floor and you have like the windows in the back, because that's a trend I see, like people do that like crazy window setup. But I can't always think about it how it will look from the outside, for example, as a comparison.
Yeah, I definitely don't, but
I wouldn't focus on it too much, honestly. Either.
Yeah.
But it's been something that people talked about on Twitter recently, so I was curious if you had an opinion on that. But that's a great insight, actually. Thank you so much.
Of course.
All right, we can probably go on to the next one. Take advantage of the day.
The next one is right down the street. I think it should be the same ward, right? I think it's.
Oh no.
Yep, plot 15.
Oh no.
Yeah.
We can't get out.
Oh
Door
yeah,
stuck.
you're
Check
trapped.
it out. Door
Stream's
stuck.
over, guys. See you later.
That was the plan from a very.
If you click the white rectangular petition on the side of the door,
I see. Yeah, I saw it now.
it's funny. I actually came into the street, into the house this morning, just to make sure that everything was fine. Like I didn't need to make any kind of last minute adjustments, and there were 3 random people in the house, which was very sweet. They were very nice.
Starving and dehydrated.
I just stood there and watched them struggling to get out. I didn't say, "Hey, click the side." I just watched them.
Oh my god.
Oh my god,
that
that's
is so
evil.
crazy. I can't believe you've done this.
Yes, struggle.
Midori said, just look for errors as if housing designers have them enabled. That is a beautiful garden.
Do you guys not do the numpad thing when you can't click the door?
Hell no.
I do, but there's too many
Oh.
people in the way.
I didn't actually know that's possible.
Yeah, just numpad 0 it in the general direction.
Bro, the more you know, holy shit.
I can always tell it's Ellie yard because she does these little grass plots.
I know. I probably should stop doing those. Like, be original, girl, please.
No, you are original. Every time I see it, I'm like, that's Ellie.
It's just so good because it's very realistic too. Just having 3 of those like little items focused in one area specifically is just so good.
I wish we had more diverse plants. Like, I was talking to Midori not too long ago, and I was like screenshotting plants that were in the goblet, because my last house I just did was a goblet house, and I was like, just give us more ferns. Like, I'm a huge fan of greenery in yards rather than a bunch of the other kind of items. I just want to make some plants, guys.
I want those exact things, but inside.
Yeah.
I'm so. I really want. Oh fuck, I can't. So this build specifically, right? This was a big build from me
Yeah, this
because
was hot.
I'm working on something right now that is similar, and this is such a massive inspiration for me. You have no
that's
idea.
sweet.
And when I saw that I remember when you posted this on Discord, and I was at work, but I was losing my shit over this because you posted amazing work in progress pictures of this one specifically, and just the color pattern, because it is a Moroccan themed house, right?
Mhm.
And we were talking about, like you were asking for some advice in work in progress for like, okay guys, do you have any ideas for the color pattern?
Yeah,
And I remember 5 people were like, hey, just talking about this, and there was like this massive wall of text just talking about this one
Yes, the
topic.
colors.
and we were picking color patterns together, and you pulled it off amazingly. You followed so many great tips, and just like that just showed the support that we just want to offer everyone. And you nailed it. You didn't nail it. You absolutely blew us away when you actually posted the finished product.
This one is hands down my favorite, and I think it really is because it pushed me out of that comfort zone. So Fui, who is a longtime friend of mine, all he asked for was a harem, and I wasn't sure if he was being like really serious or not. I kind of thought he was like effing with me at first, but he was pretty adamant about it, and I was like, listen, dude, I really do not want to build a harem. Like, I'm not that kind of girl. Like, I really just don't want to do that. And so I started Googling images of what a harem would look like. And, there's a lot of photos of ladies. And so I was trying to look
photos of ladies? Tell us more, Ellie.
Very inspirational.
I was trying to look past that and try and look at what
she had to do a lot of
the
research.
actual structure was, so I ended up I twisted it a little bit and I stretched it, and so I started looking more at what Moroccan builds include, and that's kind of where I ended up. I thought the step beds are really cool, and so that's where my color palette kind of after that conversation was really driven. I think the color was really hard for me in this one. I know Twin saw me do this 5,000 different colors before I settled on this. The fireplace was the first thing I built, and that has been on every wall in every corner in this house. I wrote it down so many times and kept moving it because it's kind of just because of the the limit of the dimensions of the house, and these are white rectangular partitions that are turned on their end. You can only get so close to the wall, especially lining them up so there's no seams. So dropping them out of storage was not really how I wanted to do it, so I sacrificed a little on size for that. But because of the fireplace being there and I wanted it to be not shoved in a corner, it was a big challenge to try and get the bedroom in. So that's why the bedroom kind of ended up on this angle rather than being flat on a wall, which I wasn't sure how I felt about it at first, but I think with the stairs kind of wrapping around just a little, it becomes more of a focal point for me. So Mitori was saying that I ripped the ceiling down 10,000 times too. I ended up going with a kind of more of a basic ceiling. I wanted this really cool like cross-hatched type thing, but I was running into all kind of item limit issues, so I kept it simple and tried to focus more on the bedroom and things like that, and the windows, which are kind of item intensive.
I like the stairs. I think it's very elegant.
Mm-hmm. It's adding so much character to this build specifically that you have this curved shape for the stairs, because it wouldn't be the same if you would just have a flat staircase going up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you use the space so amazingly. Like, this is a small house, but it doesn't feel at all like a small. It feels like a mid-house.
It does, yeah.
Because you didn't use the cramped space, or like you didn't block off an entire wall to get this recessed bedroom in.
Right.
So you didn't have to do that. So you just used the corner space to your full advantage. And by doing that and not having a great bedroom, but like having it just a bed focused bedroom, you just created more space visually, even though it's not there. And that is absolutely amazing, because this room feels so open, and it has another room which also feels open too, especially due to the color pattern of using lighter colors and not dark colors in comparison.
Yeah.
It just has this amazing impact, and I still can't believe we're in a small house, honestly. And it's just so inspiring to me, because the color pattern you chose, like you said, it was hard for you, but
it was.
In the end, this was the best color pattern you could have chosen, in my opinion.
I think the color palette too was a little driven by not only that conversation, but I'd already dyed half the house. Like, these walls are that vanilla yellow. That stuff isn't cheap, and I don't craft, so I didn't do Ishgard, and so I was buying them, and I was like, I don't
Oh my
want to
God.
die over this dye. I want to make this color work. It has to work. Please work.
You definitely made it work, but I actually didn't know that it was that specific yellow because
Yeah, it's the
damn,
vanilla
that is
yellow.
actually struggle. Holy, that's very impressive.
It also wasn't going to be a zero light build at first, but I can probably show you guys actually. If I crank up the light, I was getting this horrible shadow, but because of where I put the ceiling,
Oh, Jesus.
yeah, because of where I put the ceiling, I didn't have enough space to shove a loft up there to really block out that light. It's just a little bit too high. So I was like, you know what? We're going with zero light. We'll put in some candles. We'll make
That
it
is
work.
amazing. Honestly,
Yeah.
the atmosphere changes so much, and it feels
Huge.
this harem atmosphere
Yeah.
in this Near Eastern Moroccan style is just like so good because I don't think even level 1 would make it like be
No,
as
it wasn't
impactful
quite
on
there.
this
Yeah,
atmosphere.
for sure.
Yeah, so it's like a good solution to a very very bad problem because people don't like to use light level 0 apparently.
I think it's just because, light level 0, I feel like you kind of have to go a little over and above with lighting.
Yeah,
And I think
true.
sometimes people feel like that is eating into slot count. I think that's probably where I struggle with it if I have an idea of it being light level 0 and then I try and figure out where the lighting is going to be.
Mhm.
It's not wasted slots, right? It's not, because obviously it improves the atmosphere of the build, but I think because people don't visually see items, they maybe think that it cuts in. I don't know. That's how my mind
That
works
is a
on
great
it, but
that is a great take on it in my opinion. But again, on the contra side, you get so many opportunities from using light, from making darker spaces that is not supposed to be a focus
yeah,
to
exactly.
to just being ignored, while you can put focus on others by using light.
Exactly.
And of course, as you said, atmosphere. That is just I'm just glad that it turned out to be light level 0 in the end. That's so good. I'm gonna steal that fireplace because this is one of my favorite fireplaces I've ever seen built in housing. This is why this build is also so impressive, because it is so extremely in theme that I really want to use it myself. It's like beyond good. It's like fucking amazing if I say so myself.
I didn't realize the bottom of the self cupboard was, or Sylphic, I think it's called.
I know, right?
Is quite so cool. Like, I guess I look at it and I see the pink and the green for the most part, and I think, oh, that item's kind of hard to work
That's
with.
what most people
And then
see,
I think I
actually.
kind of went mad on it. Like, it's in the bed, it's in the what am I calling this? This little bar thing, and obviously the fireplace. So I got a little Sylphic crazy, but also I tried to do it so it kind of stayed like there was continuity between the spaces, I guess.
Yeah, like the way the yellow works on the walls, then it breaks into the teal, like into the green, and then it goes back into the usual color. It's basically as if it frames around it without actually having to frame it that much.
Right.
It's really good.
I like
it
the
feels
foil
like a
back
huge part
here.
of this.
These are the Cosmos banners, right?
They are. Fui gave me 3 of them, and so I was like, oh, how am I going to get these into the build? And so then I was like, you know what? I can just make a little feature wall in the back of the nook there.
Yeah, it's really
okay.
subtle.
What I was assuming is that because it is built in the corner, that it was hard to get partitions in. So what I was thinking is maybe you used it as a sandstone replacement, kind of.
Yeah,
to
that's
make it
what I
look more-
did.
Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't. It was literally, I just wanted to try and figure out how to get them in there. There's a stage panel behind them just to kind of stop the camera, but there's definitely not space for anything else back there. The stage panel fit in there, but that was about it.
It's really good, and the way you used the the new curtains too. As it like opens up, like you can close it like that, both for the door and the bathroom. So you actually have you have the opportunity to section it off and close it off if you wanted. And of course, it's privacy, since it's a bedroom.
I really liked the way these curtains. I felt like Square Enix made them for me for this build, so they really came through. Pardon?
Was it Square Enix or was it part of a contest?
They might have been contest winners, actually. You're right.
So that you can thank that one specific person who designed them.
I've stolen credit from the owner.
But it's very, very good.
They originally were just on the door. I was going to put them on the door, and then Midori and I were looking at this with the original curtains. We just had the normal curtain up there first, and we couldn't decide whether we liked it with the curtain or without. The only reason I went with it in the front as well is so it kind of matched the front door. But I actually really like the way it looks. So the front door, I think, is my second favorite thing in the house, just because it was literally 2 items for the, a wardrobe and a stage panel to shove in the existing frame.
The amazing features about small houses is exactly that, because you can float stuff from the floor below without further to a wall, which you can't do this in a large, you can't do this in a middle.
Medium. Yeah, exactly.
It's really nice.
So this was the most technically difficult builds you've done?
I think so. I mean, I don't think any of the techniques that I used were like crazy advanced. Like it's all floats, right? But trying to make it work in this kind of tight space was definitely the most time consuming for me. I didn't give up on the build, but I did take a couple of breaks a few times because I felt like it just wasn't working. And Midori heard my frustration so many times over it that I kept saying, I can't do it. I just can't do this build. I wasn't getting it. It wasn't clicking. And then suddenly, as soon as I put that little nook on the angle, it all just started coming together. So
it's always like that.
Yeah.
It's just so good how it works out in the end like that. Yeah. And I'm just feeling the same way about being when we talk about inspiration and stuff like that. Just seeing something you're very interested in and it just not being really working for you. It's just very depressing, honestly.
It is. I think it's frustrating because, even though a lot of the time I build for me and for my own enjoyment, I want whoever this house belongs to really love it as much as I do, because I put a lot of time and effort into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like when it's not working and it's not translating from my brain to the game, it's so frustrating sometimes.
Yes.
That's a great way
I have to
say
take a step back. Yeah, I have to take a step back, otherwise I'll lose my mind. But
yeah,
we got there in the end.
For me, I get that a lot, and it's often because the furniture is just so big. And there's only so many ways that you can make something with white rectangular partitions, but then you're gonna have to settle with like the ugly chairs and tables that they have.
For sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
that is very true.
All right.
Should we move on?
Yeah, we will move on, and this is our last house. It's on Famfrey.
Yeah, this one's on Famfrey.
Yeah, it's the latest one, the Regency.
Yeah, and I was kind of dreading this one being on the list. Also because of last week's build, I think, last week's stream, I think Div said that he hates pink and green houses.
Wait, no. What I said.
Yeah, no, I heard you, dude. You said you hate pink and green houses.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember what. Okay, yeah, okay, listen.
Okay, yes, that was me.
Also, last stream, I did refer to your house though. I did say how much I love your house and what I specifically liked about it. And we're gonna talk about it in a second. You're not gonna live it up. Oh, just like me. No, I think the issue with that mainly was because the way people used it in the past as like the massive contrasts. I said in the way you can use it with pastel colors, for example. If you have softer tones of pink and green, that will work out completely and amazing if it's not a strong saturated color, and you did exactly that, so that worked out perfectly.
This was another one that was wildly challenging color palette wise. I don't know why Hollywood Regency kind of jumped into my head. I think again it was just me browsing and like related images pop up and I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat.
That's
like
the best thing ever.
It is. It just takes me down this rabbit hole and I will go down it for hours. So I mean, same thing I guess when you rock up. The outside I try to keep as thematic as possible. But the inside with the colors we're given and the Hollywood Regency is like really heavy on patterns and bright colors and it's almost garish, and so that was probably not the smartest choice for me to make as far as what's available to us in game, but we tried. I'm satisfied with the result.
Can you give us the address for this one?
Oh, yes, I can.
Hold on. I guess Div didn't know.
I mean,
Sorry, it's I can write it in chat. Or actually, I'm not logged in. It's goblets. 1119.
very
I'll
good.
type it.
Oh, you type it? Okay, I guess.
Mhm.
There we go.
I was just visiting this the other day. It's very pretty.
It's very bright.
The good kind of bright, at least.
Yeah, okay. Nice save.
In that case, what is the immediately off? What is the pink? Like, what is the color called again that you use for the actual dye?
This is a coral, right?
Yeah, I think this is. Well, I actually think this one is the salmon. Salmon.
Why salmon?
I always say salmon.
Salmon.
I never say that.
Salmon.
I say
know.
salmon.
It's silent L.
Salmon.
I said
Did-
salmon.
Did you guys know that
Salmon.
salmon is actually white?
Stop. Stop.
Don't,
If we're going down this route, you know your marble wall in the back of the kitchen? It reminds me of the shutter for a food truck.
It does.
I was thinking that
Oh
too.
my god.
I was thinking exactly that. I
Like,
thought
is this is this gonna roll up and can I serve burgers out of it?
It's like a freaking kitchen.
Oh, I
Come to
really
the
love.
canteen.
Specifically there, I really liked how you used the arch for like corners there, because you have this beautiful accent, the little pixel, the few pixels that stick out there above the counter, and at the top too, it just connects perfectly. It's not like you shoved it into the corner and like it's a straight line. It's perfectly wrapping around there, and that's really, really good.
I tried to do that whole wall with the beds at first, but I don't know if you've ever looked at the beds like straight on, like kind of at eye level, and not when they're sitting on the ground. They have like this weird, you know, when you look at it at petitions and they're not quite lined up, and you can see those
Yep.
seams.
Yeah.
It's almost like it has the seams in itself,
It
like the
does.
item itself has seams. And so as soon as I got them all stacked up all pretty, and I was like, okay, awesome, like let's go out, reset, I'll come back in, and all I could see was seams the whole way up the wall, and it was
Aw.
it was so sad. I really wanted it to look kind of like marble tiles, but it just
I
didn't
have
work out that way.
I have to talk about this whilst we're on it with that alcove bed. You know the back of it, which like should, for all intents and purposes, be like a huge rectangular partition.
Right.
It's got missing pixels in the middle of it.
Yeah.
There's a light. There's like this like curved line of missing pixels, and like when you select it, like they kind of like highlight, and if you put lights in it, they start to go through it.
When you think about like, do they ever test that thing, or like, are we just gonna be like, oh yeah, that's fine, just get put into the
literally
game?
This curved line of missing pixels. Why?
Man, this is the color pattern I was talking about. This, oh god, pistachio? Is that what it's called? Color?
Yeah, it's kind of like a pistachio green.
And like a pastel green combined with a pastel, like this salmon. It's just like very, very beautiful together like that. This is what I meant earlier. It's just really good.
So kind of like a desaturated green and pink.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Just really nice. I'm almost there. I
Ooh,
made it.
look at that door.
That is just a very, very sexy door. A very, very high class looking door, honestly. It looks very, very nice.
We originally had just about this whole entrance done in black, but it was just feeling like too claustrophobic for me. I really wanted the stairs to be forward facing in this build. That was something that I was really I knew from the very start as far as layout goes. I was almost going to try and attempt to do like the stairs up on this side and then cross over this doorway and have like the two areas sort of flipped, but it just wasn't working. So I left the stairs, but I changed the colors. I felt like it needed to lighten up a little bit.
That specific layout with the stairs is just like every single house in real life you've seen in America in movies and stuff like that. I don't know why, but this is exactly what I think. Like you walk in, there's like this hallway to the side, you enter into either the main kitchen or the living room, and then to the left, always to the left. No,
It's
never.
true, yeah.
It's never. It's always to the left, and it's always going up like that. And I immediately felt very like as if I've been to this place even though I haven't, because it's using this very amazing kind of style that is very known to people, and this is why
it's
it
called
connects to people.
it's called American Colonial.
Yeah, colonial houses. Thank you.
I didn't
Exactly.
even know that myself.
I know what colonial exteriors look like with all the brick and like the triangle shape, but just that staircase shape is just very, very good. You didn't even know that, but it's already feeling homey. Like, this is what I mean.
Totally
It's just,
planned.
just very beautiful, and those colors are just working so well. Again, reflecting American 60s, 90s. I just think of this like very color, like this plastic color pattern always. It's
Yeah,
like
well, I think, something to do with Hollywood Regency is that it's always like really kind of mismatching. It's kind of
Mhm.
eclectic. The wallpaper thing, again, like I used Dayu's palm art in the entrance because I kept seeing all this really cool, like green, dark green, kind of this pistachio color, and then the salmon kind of pink or corally pink wallpapers everywhere. But obviously that, again, is not something that we have in the game, so this is kind of my tribute to that. If you squint, it's almost like
if you squint.
If you have bad vision.
Yeah.
When I talked with International about this build specifically, I said this has like big ass Miami Vaporwave vibes to it.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Because of the palm trees, like this palm,
Yeah.
and then the colors of the green and the pink too. That is just like so cool, and I was like feeling so relaxed, aesthetic. I guess you could say. And the door upstairs, just like I was looking at that for a while. Like I was legit staring at it like, holy shit. I love this so much. Because you use something as different as a closet as an actual feature, because usually some people want to create a very realistic looking closet, for example, right?
Yeah.
But you use it as an art piece. That is very impressive.
I originally had the flowers on the wall, and I was doing sort of the same thing that I did in, because this is also Naya's house. This is one of his other characters has this house. So I felt like I was doing too samey to the last house I was doing. So I'm not going to try and pronounce it at all, but they do this art style that is mimicking kind of Eastern artwork. And it's like a European take on it, and that's kind of really big in Hollywood Regency. So I wanted to inject that somewhere into the build, and so I thought, they do it on cabinets and stuff, so maybe I'll transfer it to the wardrobe. And originally, without the flowers, it looks a little provocative without them, so that kind of toned that down for me as well.
I see. It's just like very inspiring to hear where you draw inspiration from, not only like different realistic buildings, but also like the Hollywood side of things. It's just very cool to hear.
I think that's like my biggest thing is just I really love, and it's been that way ever since I was a kid. I really just enjoy decoration styles and influence of where things come, like especially if history influences it. I find that just really interesting to kind of study and listen to on my own. So I think that's where I go in the game a lot too.
So you would say that this is basically your kind of style, what makes it very unique compared to normal modern builds or realistic builds compared to that, for example, especially when it comes to color pattern?
I think so. At least I hope so. I hope that kind of...
It comes across it really comes across like that, and I love it so much. It's very, very different, very unique, and I love the take on it, especially in the room that Cindy is sitting in right now. It just feels like a show, like you'd see like camera set and like a certain crew set, like actors sitting there and talking, and like a certain scene. I don't know, it just feels like you know this place from a film, like you said.
Yeah, and that's definitely how I wanted it to feel. I wanted it to feel like really old-timey Hollywood. I think this build too was something that I started really trying to push the envelope a little bit with my own like custom furniture. I've dabbled like a little bit in it in the other builds, but this, like especially with the wardrobe and like the bed head, was where I kind of really wanted to get a little bit more out of my comfort zone with it. So I definitely played a little bit more with this one.
I'm just glad that it's something very different from what you usually see, and in that specific style too, and challenging yourself to make something different every time, even though you keep your basic inspiration the same.
Yeah.
It's just something that people struggle with a lot because you hear a lot about, hey, I like building this, but I feel like I'm only building this. So what is your take on it? Should you like explore entirely different things, or like should you gradually get into other things?
I mean, I think whatever works for you. For me, I think I like doing something, and then once I'm done, it's not usually a conscious thought while I'm in the build. I usually finish, and then I have this thought like, oh, next time I could do this, or I could swap this up for next time. And so that's something that I will try and do in my own builds. But you know, I see a lot of people that really just kind of how do I word it? They just jump right in, and each build is very, very unique. Whereas I think I'm more of kind of like a progressive. I take baby steps when it comes to me branching out, I guess.
It's very good to see though, because it's very nice to see like a gradual improvement on your build style. Also, it's just like you said, a time capsule. Like you said that earlier, but like you see a gradient with those builds, and it's very good, and it's very, very nice to see.
So you've touched on it briefly. This is FFXIV's house. It seems you build a lot for friends. Have you taken commissions from strangers? Do you do commissions?
I haven't done any yet. So far, when the new wards came out, I tried to push a lot of my friends into getting houses, like
get a house or else.
Get a house and I'll decorate it.
So that's kind of how that worked. And so far, because I build so painfully slow, it's just worked for me. But I think I'm just about ready to kind of dip my toes in the commission world. I'm a little scared. Just because, like I said, I love building for myself, but I also really want the person that it's for to love it as well. And so I don't want to let that person down. And I guess it's okay if I put it out there initially, but I do build slow. Like, I think this one took me probably 2 months-ish, maybe a little longer. But I mean, I don't build every single day. I don't build all weekend, so I could definitely ramp that up. And I think too, I will stand in a space and I don't know if many people do this, but I definitely stand in a space and I will just spin in circles or stare at a wall.
Yes,
and
I do that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, in my head, I'm plotting everything out. So I think I need to get out of my head a little bit more and just start jumping in and trying it, you know, like, okay, that doesn't work, rip it down, try again. So I think I could improve on my speed, but I think anyone that commissions me in the future should know that I'm very slow.
Well, you can definitely put that VOD into your portfolio, because you guys heard it first. If anyone wants to hire her, you guys like the Hollywood beams, old school kind of style, but the realistic version of it, or anything really, we got you covered.
This is great. This is like my own commercial.
Oh my god, you set it all up with like Hollywood stuff, and like, oh my gosh, she knew. She actually knew. We're gonna make it like a actual commercial for you. Don't worry.
Yeah, I like that. That'd be perfect. Thank you.
Isn't that technically what the interviews are? It's just advertising.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So we gotta talk about, like, you know, we gotta get something out of it too. So you let us know about the profits we make. Okay?
Ellie, talk to this camera, this camera, this camera.
Suddenly sounding very suspicious.
just handing you a script.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I do agree. That's kind of my designing style. In fact, Sol mentioned it once. She builds like a light box, and that's what I do too. I'll just like sit in a row of windows, and I'll just meditate and just stare at a wall. But you know, everyone has their own pace.
I feel like, especially like Naya and like Juice and Pep and Midori all come and visit me pretty often when I'm building, and they'll be like, "What are you doing?" Nothing's happening. I'm sitting.
Oh my god. Pressures.
Nothing is going up. We're in an empty house. It's just...
I've been just running around in this room for like 2 hours, not placing a single item. It's just going super well, guys. Don't worry about it.
right. Well, I guess this was all your houses then, right? Do you have a super secret project, Ellie?
I actually don't. I did finish kind of like a little baby one last night, but it's an FC room. So it's back in like my original ward in my very old FC, which I'm about to tear down.
Tim, move out of the way.
I just realized I'm buried in the back of
I'm sorry, I was looking at this at the doorway, sorry.
My commercial. But yeah, I mean we can go look at it really quick.
Yeah, we should. FC rooms and apartments are really hot right now. And also,
exactly.
we keep getting suggestions like, why don't you show apartments and FC rooms? Well, people have to tell us to visit them.
Yeah, my actual apartment is like a storage room. There's nothing going on in it at all.
I know that so much.
Yeah.
Also, as Ryoka suggested, I really want to visit that steampunk room.
Oh yeah, that's in the same ward as my FC too.
Oh,
Apparently.
perfect. Yeah, okay, yeah.
We're in the same place.
All according to Keikaku. It's fine.
So our FC is going to be Leviathan Ward 20, Plot 5.
And what division?
20.
Sorry.
Oh,
not
missed.
sorry.
Sorry. Missed, yeah.
So, Miss Ward 20, Plot 5, was it?
That's right, yeah.
That steampunk build, didn't we visit it on a Primal tour, or was this another one?
I think, yeah, no, it's the same one. It was, I think Raps and Sint were the two that were there.
I remember Midori show. Like I was in voice chat with Midori, and I really wanted to visit this place, and I was just so in love with it. I took so many screenshots.
Yeah, that's the one that you said, "Hey, I left a message," and I went to go see it, and you actually didn't write anything at all. You were like, "Ellie, I came to visit your house. Go look," and I went there, and there was no evidence of your visit.
Oh,
Dude,
I was on.
You came back later.
I was on what's her name? ToGF was the character name, I think. It was like the realism I made.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Who made this FC?
So this is mine.
Whoa!
This is the very first build, very first large build I did. So I did this right before I did my personal. It's not like a build I'm super proud of. It's very basic for me. I did it and I wasn't immediately like super happy.
I remember this kitchen. You won.
It was the kitchen, yeah, the kitchen decoration contest. It
was hot.
Kitchen. So I love the kitchen and I still do like it, but the build itself is not something I just love. So I'm actually going to take it down soon and start again. But,
are you gonna try to make something similar, or are you going?
I don't know. A couple of I have another idea. I really like, the darkness of it, the black walls and whatnot. But a couple of my FC mates tell me that it feels like an expensive hotel that they shouldn't be in, and so I don't want my FC. I don't want my FC to feel like they can't be in their FC house. So, I'll probably do something a little different.
That's the point, though.
The room.
I was about to say, an expensive hotel they don't feel they belong to? What?
Yeah.
What kind of riffraff do you hang out with?
Yeah, exactly. We're not real fancy folk.
It's very cool though, for a first build, especially.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. It was so hard to get around the pillars. I hate pillars and lodges, so the one we want to go to, the private chambers, though, is the rusty one, the rusty room. It's like Masset's build. And this was like I wanted it to just be a spot. This is my boyfriend's room, so.
What was the name again?
Masset is the FC room.
Oh, Tetanus shot. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. It was somewhere I could just play around with the new factory stuff. So I was just messing around and I finished it last night. But
factory?
Oh yeah, Div's like, what?
Yeah.
I perceive it.
Ooh, I like this spot underneath.
Dude, that is so cool. I love it so much when people use that because, man, it's underappreciated to use decoration below a spot where you can't access it but see it. It's so good.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to throw a couple of things in there.
Oh, that is
Um,
sexy.
Oh, look at this shelf. Oof.
But his room has been blank for as long as we've had the FC. So all he had was a couple of those little Heaven on High shrines. So there's one Heaven on High shrine below, just so he
Just
feels included in the build.
Yo, Stint. She did the bench
yeah.
shelf that I was like mouth watering about on stream.
That's right.
It's just so good. It looks so nice.
Oh, look at this ventilation shaft up here.
I'm a big fan of that.
It
Just the way
even
connected.
turns. Look.
Yeah, that is very, very cool how you made it turn. I love man, that's just like, I love machinery so much. God, it's just like the best thing ever in Final Fantasy, in my opinion. Even though I'm personally not as interested in that, but it's just you can make so many great looks out of it, and you made for like an FC room especially. That's like an amazing, cool look as a setup.
It was the factory stuff is not really my style, so that's why I was just like, let me just have a small space to
Work with
just
it.
throw some stuff around here and see what happens. So
Good.
it's not my
Oh, sorry.
usual jam, but no, go ahead.
I think I was lagging. That's why I was stopping
Oh,
to
oh, oh.
speak.
Oh.
Go ahead, continue.
No, I was just gonna say it's not my usual jam. It's just it's cool. Zach, my boyfriend, is really into steampunky kind of things, so that's why his personal house is steampunky, and this sort of suits him also.
A friend of mine who has started playing also is like super heavy into steampunk and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I wanted to build something for it too, but he didn't get a house yet. But as soon as he gets one, I'm gonna do the same thing. Like I'm gonna force him into getting one so I can decorate it for him.
It's a neat style. I just don't think I'm very good at it because I don't know much about it. So I kind of feel like a bit of a faker when I'm doing it.
It's something you need to get like super heavy into, like
Exactly.
experiment a lot.
Yeah.
And but you have like amazing creators who like can inspire you very very much. Like that's how I feel about factory stuff specifically. Apart from.
So I know you were about to comment on these like cask walls, because I was gonna say like it's like the most perfect thing for this, right? Because
I know, right?
you need something to use a. This is where I point out I've been watching loads of Minecraft recently. To use a Minecraft term, you need something that's ruined.
I know, right? Fucking
You need-
upsetting.
You need something ruined to fit the aesthetic, but it has to be realistic in a way that you can mount things to it. Because you can't just mount windows onto metal, right? Not in like what we have
Thank you.
here. So you've got, you bring the ruined wood in, so you can have the windows against it. You can actually like have the shelves on there, so the shelves are like bolted into it, and then it like fits the whole aesthetic and keeps everything how it should be. It's the perfect choice.
That's exactly what I wanted to point out, especially with those like broken windows. Like this ruined wood, as you called it, is like the perfect combination with it, and it's two styles coming together in this very cool way. It looked like a hideout almost,
Yeah, that's kind of how I wanted it to feel.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just like really cool. So you have like the access to the exterior and using the windows as Sin said, in combination with still having those machinery parts without making it look like a factory or like some kind of boiler
like,
room or something.
The one other tiny thing you're not really gonna get is like that one lamp casting that little bit of shadow. It does like a lot for that wall.
It really does.
And
It
it
fills it
wouldn't
with
do
so much
it on-
detail.
Right, and if you just kind of filled it with other factory stuff, you wouldn't get that.
Mhm.
You wouldn't get that difference across the texture. Great choice.
That's
100
amazing.
bucks is
Perfect choice.
really kind of, it went as far as it needed to. It's a shame there's not a tiny bit more, but that's always my gripe, right? I think everyone always has like, I wish I had 10 more, but I think that's also kind of half the fun, I think, is what you can come up with in a restricted environment. So
It can make you think more outside of the box, honestly.
yeah, for sure.
I got to double down on that. Like the actual limit is half of the fun, right? You need
Yeah,
to work.
I
You need
think
to
so.
work with what you've got. Like if you
Yeah.
had unrestrained freedom, the excitement wouldn't be there. Not in the same.
No, it won't be there. Holy shit, I would clutter so much shit.
Yeah.
You would at first.
It's like, I think we talked. Didn't we talk about this actually recently? How about like limitations actually make it exciting in every manner?
Yeah, it adds the challenge. The
Yeah,
thing
it
is,
well
like,
breeds creativity if you're
after
limited.
after like your third 6,000 item build, it's gonna get a bit stale because you had too much. You had too much freedom to do too many of the same things. You know what I mean?
I couldn't afford a 6,000 item build. The market.
Yeah, honestly, you know what? I'm not gonna complain. I'm not gonna complain about 6,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ever.
just do 3 of them. Then we'll talk.
So, are we gonna look at the steampunky one still?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can.
Same ward. I think this one is plot 20.
I betcha told Jeff is still there.
She's probably right up front.
Yeah,
What?
let's see.
You know, I will say, Ellie, you are a very eclectic builder. You know, most people have a kind of style that they stick to. And it's not just because you just started this year, but I think that you did really well exploring different styles. And I know you said with the factory, you know, you're just messing around with it. You don't know, you feel like an imposter, but it's like,
Yeah.
that's what you do. You branch out and you have a little fun with it.
I try, and I really appreciate you noticing, because I feel like that was something I was thinking about when you asked if I would do the stream. I thought, God, I don't even know what my style is, and I know that's something that you ask of people, and I kind of know what I like, but it's not always what I do. And I think, you know, like when Zach asked me to do this place, he said he wanted steampunk, which I was like, God, I don't know the first thing about steampunk. When Fui asked me to do his house, he asked for a harem, and I was like, I know nothing about that either. So I think researching that sort of stuff is really fun for me, and then seeing what I can do. They're usually the builds I end up liking the most. I think it's because it's such a challenge to do them for me. And the end result sometimes a little resembles the request. So
Yeah, I think most of the time it does, and it turns out beautifully, and you don't know if you can find the perfect match for you. And
follow it.
just in the theme.
So to follow on that style thing, like I honestly think that like for the sake of your own creativity and enjoyment,
Yes,
it's better to not have a style.
I agree with
Completely. Like having that kind of if you only do one thing all the time, there's like a limit to how much you can push it before you hit a wall and you're like, well, I've got nothing else to give right now.
that. Exactly, that burn-on is what I had with Fish Garden.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I haven't built anything like that.
But you know,
for, like,
if you're
years because of it.
if you're always willing to tackle something else, you know, you're going to be able to draw inspiration from everywhere and enjoy yourself the whole way through it. And that's
Yeah.
important.
Mhm. Now this build, just
It's so
My-
hot. I love it.
that with the Moroccan one is my favorite of yours. It's just so amazing how you made this industrial look.
Both
Just
like
like-
zero.
I think
Yeah.
it too, like this build was pretty early on in. Well, this is my very first one floor build. This was the first one I did. So that was a first big hurdle for me to kind of overcome. And then, secondly, I wasn't too huge into custom furniture here. A lot of the custom stuff that I see in here was heavily influenced by other people. So this was kind of an exercise for me, I guess, on like finding ways to expand on what people had done already. Things like, I guess the details that I like the most too are things like the baseboards were the last thing I put in. I was like, oh, I have a few slots. What do I do with them? And so I literally just floated the baseboards, and I think they kind of work.
The
Fairly well.
baseboards. The ones.
They definitely do.
Like these metal ones.
I
along
really
here.
like it. In fact, I really like this metal that you have here at the entryway on the brick wall. It's so subtle, but she framed that little. Do you see it? That brick?
It's so good, isn't it? Using the best item in the game.
Yeah.
So more.
It's kind of in the game.
That and the ash cabinet are just. Oh no, the ash cabinet. What are they called again?
I think that's got.
Oh, they are ash
Yeah,
cabinets, aren't they?
yeah.
Yeah, like those two items are just the best things to build with, in my opinion, with the cast rack.
Yeah,
Like the best.
I felt like I was channeling my inner div for this one a lot.
Oh yeah, this was like right after the workshop, isn't it?
I think so. It was really similar timing, and I remember seeing a bunch of your work in progress pics, and I was showing them to Zach, and I was like, look at this, I can do this.
I can do that. That's a great way to put it. Like, if it just shows how people can inspire each other, especially
Yeah.
if they're tackling something they haven't done before.
Yeah,
It's just like very motivating.
I think too, like I said, I browse Pinterest a lot, and so I'm really inspired by real life. But I think I am equally inspired by the community. I wouldn't say it would be any one single designer. Obviously, Midori and I are really close, and I bounce a huge amount of ideas off of her back and forth. And that kind of brainstorming is really inspirational to me. But the different communities, we were talking about it just the other day, how different communities tend to have different trends, and I really like that kind of forward motion that each community has as well, like coming up with new ideas, and everyone kind of pushes each other to go a little step further with it. So I think that also really inspires me too.
That's a great take on the community point of view, actually. That is very nice.
I like it in the sense that you can look at something like Div's workshop and you instead get super excited, like, wow, I can do that. Whereas sometimes I feel with some housing people, well, I wouldn't say with housing people, but I would say in the terms of designing, people see it more as a competition, like, oh, I can do better than that. And I like that you saw what he made, and instead you were just like, wow, this is possible. Let me do this.
I think the competition stuff is, maybe it's because I'm old. Like, I really am old. It's but I think, like, I'm just not into that. Like, I'm not into the drama. I'm not into any of that kind of thing. Like, this is like a really creative scene for me, and I think that people won't always like what others like, and that's totally okay. You know, this is a creative world, and different people have different visions and different idea of what is pleasing to their eye. So I don't think it needs to be competitive. I think that there's enough space for everyone to be good at something, and everyone's to be individually amazing without it having to be compared to someone else's and who did it better. So
especially because most of the times it's even, as Ashen said, it's not even the same. It's built upon, like, let's say an idea, or like being inspired in certain parts, like for example the usage of wood and metal, for example, and just using that as a base. But it isn't directly competition just because you're using something similar like that.
Right, exactly.
It's the exact opposite. You're being like, I think you even like tagged me to look at it because you mentioned it, and this is the reason why I came over in the first place, and that was so inspiring to me. Like, we just bounced off each other like that because of it,
and that's what I really enjoy.
And like, people should consider like working together more instead of working against each other, in the sense of, if I build something similar to that, hey, how about like you talk about it, because you obviously have the same interest, right?
Yeah.
So why not just like work together or something?
I agree. Yes.
Oh, now the light came out. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, the light came out. Oh, this is great.
It's such a great setup. That area was so cozy. I sit there with Midori for like, I think, easily half an hour. I was sitting there taking screenshots because I was just enjoying it so much, and the combination of everything coming together in this very beautiful, comfy spot. Whoever, like, I would love to live in this space. It's just beautiful.
Well, this window, actually, I was just talking about it in FD the other day. Someone was asking how they did the shutters, and this window, it was, again, you and Midori had done it previous to what I had seen. I'm sure other people have done it too, but it was one of your builds and one of Midori's builds that I was like, oh, that's really sick. Like, I want to have that in.
Oh, was the universe?
It was, yeah.
Ah, okay, so it was. Oh, we literally showed it off last week, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was some Oasis builds that I've done a few years ago. That is just so good. It's just.
This build is clever in that it doesn't need these windows. It adds a lot, but you know, sometimes you go into a house and it's like, it's a little bit kind of droll without the sunlight coming through. So this is, I really like the lighting that you did with this.
I think I ended up posting nighttime photos when I did this build, because I couldn't decide which I preferred it on, whether it was, you know, daytime or nighttime. And
morning time was good.
Yeah, I don't think I've achieved it in a house since. I think this is the only house, maybe the harem, I guess, would be a close second, where I can say that it looks as good at night as it does during the
It
day.
really does, but for me personally, I think this morning light setup is just so sexy. I can't get over it, but it looks so good. I don't know. It's like I think it's the light bouncing off on the little latch you did there, using
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
bar.
The bar,
like
yeah.
that,
Mhm.
that is the part where it's like, hell yeah! Seeing that light bounce off like that, and on the table too, with the shadows that the book cast. That's just like so beautiful and realistic looking. And also the light on the TV top and the TV tabletop.
Yeah.
That is like very subtle things that you don't realize you're looking at even, but it adds that really good spice of realism to your build.
Let's just
This
build
is why
bunkers,
lighting is-
guys.
I've done that, but I can't say it's the exact same comfy feeling compared to this. Creating just sounds like a homey feeling like this in a very steampunky look. Very hard to pull off, extremely hard to pull off, and yet you did it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The pitches that I was given as reference were they were interesting. I don't want to say not inspiring, but they were from where were they from again? Were they from EverQuest or something?
EverQuest.
And, yeah,
I want to show us
Yeah,
pictures.
Mr. Ellie is like a big EverQuester, and so that's where he got his love of steampunk. I think was from one of those expansions, and I was just like, what am I meant to do with this? What is this?
How am I gonna put EverQuest to Final
Yeah,
Fantasy?
I didn't know. So again, it was where I kind of took creative license, like I did with the harem, and just sort of stuck with items that I could kind of imagine were a little steampunky, and did it in my way.
But your way is absolutely beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Gosh.
See, this is what I meant. I wanted to see this so badly. I didn't want to leave it out of the interview. It's so good. Just personal indulgence.
Well, I'm really glad we had a chance to talk to you. You are so funny, Ellie. Like, and just and you're so well informed. It was really nice to hear your thoughts, and especially talking us through the builds, because I like that a lot. Knowing
Thank
where
you.
you started,
Same.
what did you change, why. It's interesting.
I stopped being nervous about 5 minutes in, so I think we're good now.
Yeah, that was like I told you. It's not an interview. It's just comfy chat between friends while a few hundred people are watching.
Yeah, no big deal. No big deal.
All right. With that, that's gonna conclude our interview for today.
Guys, thank you so much for having me.
Oh wait, we
Thank
do
you so
we
much
do
for
have you made a portfolio, right, Ellie? We
Oh
can
yes, and I have to fix it. I know one of the buttons is broken, but yeah, I do have one.
Can we link that in chat? Hold on, let me
Oh
put
yeah,
it.
go for it.
Do that with me, Tim. I'm gonna do something real quick. Where is that one thing? Because I really want to like compile a few portfolios for myself. Just like even as inspiration, portfolios are really good, in my opinion. Which is really cool. So let's see.
All right, let me put this into chat real quick. But yeah, she finally made a portfolio.
I know, I haven't had one for the longest time, and the only reason I put one together was because you said, I noticed you don't have one. And I was like, well, I don't do commissions, but I guess I will be starting them soon-ish. So we threw
No pressure at all. But you're
I
amazing.
know.
All right, so yes, she listened to me and she made a portfolio. I wasn't cracking the whip, but people get scared when I approach them.
Yeah, no kidding.
Also, that is a good thing. Also, we can mention like if you guys are looking into getting a portfolio done, for example, Card is a very good website to make something very simple and very quick for that.
Yeah,
looks
it was
absolutely
actually
amazing.
pretty user-friendly. It looked intimidating at first, but it was fun.
I'm actually considering doing something like that too because
No,
it's just
Tumblr!
very.
Yeah, I got you.
Fuck Tumblr!
I'm sorry, I got a level with you. Like Tumblr's better than Card.
It is. I
No,
get
I'm ma-
Tumblr so
I'm
much better.
I'm making the switch. I can't stand my Card. I'm sorry.
Well, it's okay. Ellie and me are against Tumblr.
Yeah,
It's
that's
fine.
okay.
Card is better. All my homies hate Tumblr.
Whatever. All right.
So,
Yeah.
that's gonna be it for today. We're gonna have a stream tomorrow. I'm gonna stream some building. Time to be announced. Look forward to it. And apart from that, we will hope to see you guys next week. And see you all around. Have a good one, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye,
See you
guys.
later, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.